So, when you think of the UN, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably diplomats at the General Assembly, maybe peacekeeping forces. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a totally different side of the organization. It's elite team of specialists. These are the super agencies out there on the front lines, the ones tackling the world's biggest challenges. So, let's meet the team. I mean, that's a huge question, right? When you're facing down issues like global poverty or widespread disease or a lack of education, where do you even start? A single organization, no matter how powerful, just can't be an expert in everything. And that is precisely the UN's strategy. Instead of one massive organization trying to do it all, you build a team of specialists where every single member is a world-class expert in their own field. It's a global approach because, well, we've got global problems. The United Nations figured out pretty early on that to really handle human welfare and international cooperation, they needed dedicated teams. Each one of these agencies has its own members, its own budget, its own headquarters, and that lets them focus like a laser on their specific mission. So let's dive in and meet some of these key players. Okay, first up is our specialist in culture and education. Now, their mission isn't just about old books or fancy buildings. It's founded on this really profound idea. It's actually written right into their constitution. Since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed.
Wow.
So this is UNESCO. It was set up right after World War II, and its whole goal was to build a lasting peace by getting nations to collaborate. And, it's pretty fitting that its headquarters are in Paris, which is such a global hub for culture and new ideas. So how do you actually build peace in people's minds? Well, you do it by creating connections. They push for education to fight ignorance, they support scientists working together on shared problems, and they protect our collective history, those incredible World Heritage sites that really belong to all of humanity. And of all the amazing work they do, their biggest focus by far is education. For UNESCO, a classroom isn't just a place for reading and writing. No, it's like a workshop for opening minds, for fostering understanding, and for planting the seeds of a much more peaceful future. All right, let's move on to our next specialist. This one has a mission that is laser-focused on the most vulnerable people among us. This is the agency that steps in to protect and champion children, no matter where on Earth they happen to be born. Let's talk about UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund. They operate out of New York, but their work reaches literally every corner of the globe, especially in developing countries where kids' lives are most at risk. UNICEF's work is incredibly direct, really hands-on. We're talking about things like providing life-saving immunizations, making sure moms have safe healthcare, and even installing the actual pipes and pumps that bring clean drinking water to a whole village. And when a disaster strikes, you can bet they're on the front lines for children and their families. And their impact, it's been recognized at the absolute highest level. Back in 1965, UNICEF was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. That's such a powerful statement, right? It says that protecting the health and the future of children is a fundamental building block for world peace. So UNICEF does this incredible, vital work for kids. But that kind of brings up another question, doesn't it? Who's looking out for the health of the entire global population, throughout their whole lives? For that, we turn to our next specialist, an agency that pretty much acts as the world's doctor. They're the ones coordinating the global fight against disease and promoting well-being for all of us. This is the World Health Organization, or the WHO as we all know it. They're based in Geneva, and they were established on April 7th, a date we actually celebrate every single year now as World Health Day. So this right here is their mission statement. And it's incredibly ambitious. Think about it, not just some health or, adequate health, but the highest possible level of health for all peoples. That's basically a declaration that healthcare is a fundamental human right. So how do they actually make this happen? Well, they're the ones coordinating the international response to big epidemics like polio or cholera. They set up labs to track diseases, they fund medical research, and they run all those public health campaigns designed to keep us all informed and safe. All right, on to our final specialist. We've covered education, children's welfare, and global health. But what about the thing that's the foundation of so many of our lives and societies, our work? This next agency fights for dignity and justice right there in the workplace. Let me introduce you to the International Labor Organization, or ILO. They're also based in Geneva. And the ILO is really unique because it was actually founded way back in 1919. It became the very first specialized agency of the UN in 1946. I mean, these guys are the veterans of this specialist team. Okay, so the ILO's core belief is that a universal, lasting peace can only be built on a foundation of social justice. And when you think about it, that makes perfect sense. Deep inequality and exploitation, those are so often the root causes of unrest and conflict. So they work to set international standards for fair wages, safe conditions, and fundamental rights. And that includes the crucial fight to end harmful child labor. And just like UNICEF, the ILO's incredible work was recognized with a Nobel Peace Prize. This award in 1969 really cemented the idea that fair work and social justice aren't just economic issues, they are absolutely essential for a peaceful and stable world. So when you start to put all these pieces together, this bigger picture emerges. These aren't just a bunch of separate organizations doing their own thing. They're all interconnected parts of a massive global safety net, one that's designed to catch and support all of humanity. I think this contrast here just shows the sheer scale of what they do. On one hand, you've got UNESCO preserving the history that connects us all to our past, while on the other, you have the WHO running health campaigns to secure our future. Together, their missions really span the entire human experience. So let's do a quick recap of our specialist team. We've got UNESCO, building peace through education and culture. We have UNICEF acting as a guardian for the world's kids. WHO serves as our global doctor, and the ILO fights for social justice through fair labor. Each one has a clear, absolutely vital role to play. And all of this leaves us with one final thought. As our world becomes more and more interconnected, our problems, from pandemics to climate change, they just get more and more complex. And it really makes you wonder, is this model, this team of specialized international collaborators, is it just a good idea, or is it maybe the only real path we have to building a better future? Definitely something to think about.